wrong. Could you use it in a sentence, please? Yes, SVP and SportsCenter are here until we're not tonight. Bottom of the hour. Marc Gasol still to come. Tim Legler standing by with a touchscreen. Game 1 of the NBA Finals goes to Toronto. Here's how. We the North. Man, that place was absolutely on fire. There's the obligatory Drake shot wearing the Del Curry jersey from the dinosaur days of the Raptor jerseys. Early on, and defense was a theme throughout. Blocked down low, but it leads to a three for Steph Curry as he knocks down 100 threes in the NBA Finals. He's the only man ever to do that. Kawhi Leonard, he was getting doubled at every turn. That meant somebody else was going to have to contribute. Woo-woo-woo, outlet. Watch Clay do that thing. He does that thing when he dunks. He explained it. He's like, I have small hands. I kind of can't palm it or whatever, so he kind of, whatever. Anyway, Kawhi did not have a big first quarter. That's all right. He has teammates that could help. Van Vliet steps into it. Man, he was awful the first couple games against the Bucks. Had a kid and hasn't missed since. Good ball movement. Van Vliet, all three of these. Wheat, shocker, in the building. Lowry, Van Vliet. This was patience where he realized, you know what, a three is good, but I got Marc Gasol down there posting up Curry. Those two teamed up for a bunch of first-half points, and the Raptors led by 10 at the break. Teams that have had double-digit leads in the finals have won a dozen straight. But this Golden State team, you're just waiting for the avalanche, right? You're waiting for that 1, 2, 3, 4 punches. All right, there's a body blow from Steph. And Clay, this was after a miss. They got an offensive rebound, and you love the confidence of a shooter. I'm going to make the next one. 6-point game with Pascal Siakam. Man, he has just elevated his game to just superstar level. In transition, again, Draymond had 4 fouls, couldn't really challenge there. They get it back up to 10. Every time it got close, Golden State had an answer. Kawhi, 3. But the man of the third was Siakam. And the man of that moment right there was Pat McCaw, who hits a desperation heave before the end of the third. Siakam was 6 of 6 with 14 points in the third, but he wasn't done. Here, driving, off glass, and it's good. At one point, he makes 11 consecutive field goals, which is the longest streak in the finals in 20 years. Danny Green couldn't buy one. Save for Steve's best bet was over what, Steve?
5.5 points.
He had that like 3 minutes into the game. Free money. He didn't have a great shooting night, but you know what? He saw it go in. Kawhi, yeah. Nothing ever looks like it's in a hurry. Everything is smooth. That's with Looney out there trying to bother him with the length. Not a problem. You win a double? Okay. You know it's your night when this goes in. Van Vliet, 10-point game, just chucks it up, rattles around and in. Jurassic Park's going bonkers. Siakam finishes this one with 32. He finally misses here. Gets his own rebound, knocks it in. A 9-point win for the Toronto Raptors. Steph Curry now live on SportsCenter reacting as his team is in a 1-0 hole.
We've proven our resiliency and ability to win games that we need to and kind of answer the bell and learn from, nights like tonight. So key call-outs are, fast break points that they got, whether it was a make or a miss for us. A couple of sloppy turnovers that really didn't kill us, but just added to, their momentum. And, obviously Pascal had an amazing game. He pretty much found a bucket wherever he was at. And we got to do, all 5 guys got to do a better job of just being physical, being alert, and we'll be all right.
Left side in the back on the aisle. Go ahead, Nick.
And following up on that, this is the first time since Steve's been coached you guys dropped game 1. What do you think changes, if at all, from a mindset perspective for y'all dropping into an early hole like this?
Nothing really. I mean, it was a great atmosphere out there. They obviously played well, but our confidence remains the same. And block out all the noise about how, what these are first and this and that, and kind of the doubt around it, around our team. It's just come out and play hard, get game 2 and take it from there. So I like the vibe I say it a lot, but I like the vibe that we had in the locker room in terms of everybody focusing on what they need to do differently and the overall energy, bump that we need to have, and then go steal game 2.
Right side, front row, Mark.
Despite the loss, you see the most consecutive 30-point games in Warriors postseason history. Rick Barry could go, y'all. You don't know. He had 7 of them. So did the Dipper, Wilt Chamberlain. Steph's now at 6 with a chance to tie them game 2 Sunday. Tim Legler's here. Steph mentioned that they can learn from it. What did they learn tonight?
I think they learned that there's an initial surge that Toronto wanted to play with up the floor that Golden State didn't look prepared for. I think they put their game plan on putting a lot of emphasis on Kawhi. They did that. They knew they were going to give up some open looks, but they weren't ready for this kind of stuff right here. And this was pretty much the entire game. And it starts off here. Anytime you get a guy on the ground, you're at a disadvantage defensively, but they still get back, and they make some uncharacteristic mistakes. And here's the first one. So here comes a basketball, right? You got Kawhi coming. What should happen right now? Iguodala should take him. And now as you get Lowry running in, well, that's an easy matchup for Clay. You got another guy over here in the corner, Siakam. So Draymond's kind of hanging, but he knows ultimately that's his guy, which means what? That means Kevon Looney, you need to get your rear end back to the paint. And you're going to see why that's important, because when he runs over here and throws himself into this, now you got a problem, because now Iggy's handed off here. Looney basically has Kawhi. Well, look who's in no man's land as Siakam clears out. They're confused, and why does it matter? Because here comes a big 7-footer down the middle of the lane, and that should have been Looney meeting him in the middle of the paint if they executed their handoffs properly. Instead, it's an easy layup. Golden State, a team that used to do this to people, is used to doing it to people, rather, had it done to them repeatedly in this game. Here's another example. Anytime the basketball is grabbed like this and you end up with 9 players ahead of the ball, you shouldn't give up stuff like this. But here's what happens. Puts his head down, and you can see right now what's going on. Like, Clay is in jog mode because he thinks right now he's going to match up right here. Steph Curry is looking at Fred VanVleet, and he's saying, all right, that's me. The problem is Sean Livingston, completely in no man's land. He's got no one to guard, and that's going to put a whole lot of pressure on this guy. Draymond Green, he's running with a 3-point shooter, so he's worried about getting back to him in the corner. But he also, you see his hand out right now? He's screaming at guys, who's got ball? It's supposed to be Sean Livingston coming over, and instead, keep pushing. Draymond eventually has no choice. This is going to be a layup for Siakam.
Yeah, because he's downhill.
That's it. It's simple pitch and catch basketball in a 9-point game with 7.5 minutes to go. This is just uncharacteristic of the Warriors not looking prepared. They were kind of flat. That could be the layoff a little bit. But I'm taking nothing away from the Raptors. They beat them in literally every single phase of the game that you could put on paper. Check off every box on the side of Toronto. They dominated them start to finish.
I have 2 things we don't have tapes for. I just want to ask your thoughts on them. And I always mention you because you were the first guy that I heard say, like, Siakam is not like, oh, he's a nice little piece. He can really go. Did tonight surprise you that he was capable of this in his first finals game?
It did, from the standpoint of, you were right, we had these conversations early in the season. I kept on it throughout. He was an all-star the second half of the year. There's no question about it. But he was pretty inconsistent offensively in the postseason. So I thought, okay, he's going to take a half to get his feet wet. Was not the case whatsoever. His aggressiveness, I thought, in going at Draymond Green set the tone for everything they did offensively. And Draymond alluded to it after the game. He said, that's on me. I let this dude get into a rhythm. I guarantee you're going to see a much more physical approach out of the part of Draymond Green in game 2. So to be this good, Scott, yeah, I was surprised, even though I've been touting this guy all year.
I know it. And then I asked Stephen A. about, like, how repeatable a performance is this from Toronto. We know it's a make-miss league. I get it. But their approach and how they're going to go about being real physical with those ball screens, with Steph, with Marc Gasol involved with him, how impressed were you with Toronto's half-court defense and how the approach succeeded? Extremely,
because one of the things I've been talking about the entire postseason is when you watch Golden State, nobody punishes you for lack of concentration. Like, just a quick lapse in concentration, more than the Golden State Warriors. Historically, they did it to Portland, they've done it to other teams, did it to Houston multiple times. Toronto didn't really allow that slippage tonight, where all of a sudden, in a 3-minute stretch, they have a couple of breakdowns where guys turn their head, Curry keeps running, Clay keeps running to hit a couple of threes, and now it feels like a different game. We talked about it right before we came on the air. They cut it to 3, but it didn't feel the same because it was basically done at the foul line. That's how they chipped away at it. It wasn't raining in shots where you kind of sit there and go, okay, they're loose now. This game has a different feel to it. Toronto never really let that happen, but I thought their commitment to not allow those looks that break your back when you've played pretty good defense for 18 seconds and they hit something late, I thought the commitment was as good as I've seen all year against them.
I don't know if Toronto's going to win the NBA Finals, but I know this. If they lose, it's not because they're not as good or not because they are afraid of who they're playing, because they're not. I mean, like tonight's one of those nights where Golden State, sometimes you swing and guys take a step back. Toronto's like, takes a step forward. Like, you want to go? Let's go.
We got a series now. We said game 1 they had to get, and they got it. Now it's a lot more interesting.
Giddy up. Let's go. Tim Legler, appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott.
More on a historic debut here from Pascal Siakam. I always love looking at, like, who's the company that you join. 35-5 in an NBA Finals debut. I'm not going back to the 60s, all due respect, even though I did just give some props to Rick Barry. But, I mean, anytime you join AI and Michael Jordan, you're just talking about guys who, waiting on that moment, time came that I owned it. That's not Drake, that's a different guy. Anyway, Steve Kerr on the difference in tonight's game.
The biggest thing for me was our transition defense was just awful. And that's the game. That's the number one priority when you play Toronto. You have to take care of their transition. And we gave up 24 fast break points. We turned it over 17 times. So that's the game, really.
Not very familiar with this team, but that's no excuse. You know, it's still got to come out here, and our goal was to get 1, and it's still on the table for us. So I know we'll respond like the champions we are.
The Warriors are rarely in this situation, being down in a 1-0 in the finals. How do you think they'll respond?
I don't know. We'll see. Need a Kawhi answer.
Brian Windhorst joins us now. And let's start with Andre Iguodala. What was that thing he was wearing? No, I don't expect you to know what that unless you know if is it couture? What was that he was wearing?
You're talking about the sweater after the game that was
I don't know. It was like an orange thing.
It was bright orange.
Yeah, it was kind of like a bath mat.
I'll just say, Scott, he got asked about it after the cameras were off for information on where he got it, and he refused to reveal.
Okay.
So I'll get on the investigation as soon as we're done with the interview.
It's really not that important. What is important is we saw him grab at that left hamstring. What sense is there about how much that's going to linger?
Yeah, so they were working on him on the bench, working on that left leg. Now, it was a calf in the last round. He was grabbing his thigh in this issue, and then he tweaked it again. He said that he's fine and he'll be ready to go for game 2. Steve Kerr said we'll have an update tomorrow, which indicates there could be some imaging, although they didn't commit to that. He did not stay for extended treatment after the game, and he did not walk off with a terrible limp, but he's clearly dealing with an issue, and the 9 days off that they had between games did not clear it up. So that's definitely something to monitor.
All right, we saw Boogie for some, which surprised me. I was shocked that happened, but we did see him play in this game. You told me last series that they would not go to Durant until they trailed. Well, now they trail. Does this ramp up the whether he's ready or not? We got to try to get you out there kind of deal?
I am told no, that the plan remains that he will not play in game 2. They will try to get him out there for a practice between games 2 and 3, see how he reacts to that. It's going to be game 3 at the earliest. Scott, let's just be honest here. If they get down 2-0, I think there's a very good chance you're going to see Durant in game 3. They've got no reason not to, but I don't think you're going to see him come to the rescue on Sunday. And as for Boogie, they were encouraged by the way he played tonight, but you just heard Steve Kerr say they had trouble in transition. And that's where Boogie is struggling. He can't get back in transition. When he's out there, the Raptors try to run even more. So Steve Kerr's got a difficult situation here. Boogie probably earned some more minutes, but I don't know if that's the exact antidote for the way that the Raptors play. That's something to watch. I did talk to Boogie after the game. He was very he wasn't happy about the loss, but he was cool with his role. It wasn't causing any issue with him. He was happy to be out there.
Steve Kerr used the term dare shots for Gasol. Like they were going to if Gasol and Siakam are going to go for 50-something, then they're going to deal with it. I mean, I guess they'll roll with that approach again?
That's right. Now let's go back 2 weeks ago when they played the Blazers.
Right.
They were like, look, Damian Lillard is not going to win this series against us. We're going to take him out of it. So the same game plan was employed on Kawhi Leonard tonight. They forced the ball out of his hands. He only took 14 shots. They were thrilled with that. Obviously, Siakam had one of the best games we've seen for a rookie in finals history. Gasol had a great game. The Warriors are confident and collected, and they believe that game plan is going to work. They think they can clean up the transition. They'll be just fine.
Brian, appreciate it. We'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
SportsCenter on the Road is presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans.